Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachare. Yamunatira Vanachare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachare. Yamunatira Vanachare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Yo Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So tonight we will be discussing a verse from the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a verse that Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual teacher, he referenced at least once, but I'm sure a number of times, and glorifying his own spiritual master, his own spiritual teacher. How does that verse? I think we might have to look it up on our phone or somebody's phone. It's the verse where I believe Prahlāda Mahārāja. He was saying that he was following the general populace and into a blind well, something like that. You know that one? Yeah. Can somebody look that up? Evam Janam. Go over down. You have your phone? Dvija Mani. That's why we're making you the vice president, Dvija Mani. Soon. 7/9/28. Okay. But I want to follow your method. Under E. All right. Evam Janam Napatitam. 9/28. Right? Okay. 7th canto, chapter 9, text 28. Let's see. All right. There it is. So if everybody could please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evam Janam Napatitam Prabhavahi Kupe Kama Bikamam Anuya Prapatan Prasangat Kritva Masat Surashina Bhagavan Grihita Soham Katam Nivrisaje Tavabritya Sevam. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Nārada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? Purport. As will be seen in later verses, even though Prahlāda Mahārāja was directly offered all the benedictions he might have desired, he refused to accept such offerings from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On the contrary, he asked the Lord to engage him in the service of his servant Nārada Muni. This is the symptom of a pure devotee. One should serve the spiritual master first. It is not that one should bypass the spiritual master and desire to serve the Supreme Lord. This is not the principle for a Vaishnav. Narottam Das Thakur says, Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakti Sanivas Janame Hoy Eya Bilash. One should not be anxious to offer direct service to the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised that one become a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Gopi Bhartu Padakamaloya Dasa Dasa Anudasa. This is the process for approaching the Supreme Lord. The first service should be rendered to the spiritual master so that by his mercy one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to render service. While teaching Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. One can achieve the seed of devotional service by the mercy of the Guru, the spiritual master, and then by the mercy of Krishna. This is the secret of success. First, one should try to please the spiritual master, and then one should attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says, Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado. One should not attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by concoction. One must first be prepared to serve the spiritual master, and when one is qualified, he is automatically offered the platform of direct service to the Lord. Therefore, Prahlāda Mahārāja proposed that he engage in the service of Nārada Muni. He never proposed that he engage directly in the service of the Lord. This is the right conclusion. Therefore, he said, Soham katam no visaraje tava britti sevam. How can I give up the service of my spiritual master, who has favored me in such a way that I am not able that I am now able to see you face to face? Prahlāda Mahārāja prayed to the Lord that he might continue to engage in the service of his spiritual master, Nārada Muni. Om Jnanativedandasya Kananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmaditam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karitivachalam Pangam Langaite Girim Yakripadamaham Vande Shri Gurundinitarinam Vancha Kapliribishcha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaura Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll just read the translation one more time. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Nārada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? Prahlāda Mahārāja, in this particular prayer, he's offering a prayer to Lord Nrsingadev. Lord Nrsingadev is the half-man, half-lion incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared to save Prahlāda from his father, Hiranyakashipu. And his father was a very evil person, just objectively evil person. And he actually terrorized the whole universe. He's so powerful, demon or asura. And unlike Hiranyakashipu, Prahlāda Mahārāja was the best of devotees. He's referred to as Bhakta Raj. Bhakta means devotee, Raj means a king. He's a king of devotees. He's the best devotee. And he was fully dependent on Krishna. So we read about this in the 7th canto, how Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlāda in so many different ways. He tried to throw Prahlāda under elephants via his henchmen. He tried to throw Prahlāda off of a cliff, and on and on and on. He tried to kill his son in so many different ways. Because, just because his son was not sure what's going on there. Just because his son was a devotee, he's very envious of him. So eventually, Prahlāda Mahārāja, he is there before his father, and his father was challenging him. He was saying, "Where is your God?" And then Prahlāda Mahārāja, as a great devotee, said, "Well, Krishna, he's everywhere. God's everywhere." And that's what devotees, they see Krishna everywhere. They see God everywhere. And an atheistic person, they don't see God anywhere. So Prahlad said he's everywhere. And then Hiranyakashipu said, "Is he in this pillar here?" And Prahlāda Mahārāja said, "Of course. He's everywhere. He's here in this pillar as well." And then Hiranyakashipu, he hit the pillar, and then there was a very intense sound that came out that just echoed throughout the whole universe. And that was the appearance of Hiranyakashipu. Excuse me, sorry. I'm testing you. Sometimes devotees say, at the end of their Nrsingadev talk, they say, "Hiranyakashipu ki jai." And then devotees sometimes say jai, and you say, "Why are you saying jai?" So I'm testing you. So then Lord Nrsingadev appears out of the pillar. And you would think that Hiranyakashipu would be in fear. I mean, gigantic, half man, half lion incarnation of Krishna. You'd think that he'd be in fear, but he wasn't in fear. He actually challenged him to fight. There was some fear in Hiranyakashipu, but still, he challenged him to fight. So they had a whole fighting match there. And eventually, Lord Nrsingadev, he put Hiranyakashipu on his lap, and what does Bhajanarayan Swami say? He said Lord Nrsingadev performed a surgical operation in which the patient did not survive. So Nrsingadev is we say Krishna is Adi. Adi means original, so he's the original surgeon as well. Chiropractor, right, with Kubja. So on. So yeah, he killed Hiranyakashipu, so that was the end of Hiranyakashipu. And then all of his followers attacked Nrsingadev. You'd think that they would just be fleeing, but they were so foolish that they attacked Nrsingadev. And of course, he took care of them as well. Now, so he was in a very angry mood. Lord Nrsingadev was in a very angry mood. And you could imagine the intensity of his roar. So everyone was scared. The demigods were there. Lakshmi was there, and Brahma, and so on. So many demigods were there, and they were all fearful because he was still in this angry mood. So then they told him, "Okay, Prahlad, you go and offer your prayers, because you're his great devotee. So you go, you offer your prayers." By the way, we'll be having a devotee. His name's Dhruva Das, and he came here years ago, but he compiled this wonderful Nrsingadev book, color photo, of course, color photo, not black and white, but photo book of all these beautiful Nrsingadev deities throughout India. He traveled all over India to take pictures of the deities. So he made a second book of all of these more deities, Nrsingadev deities. So he'll be here, and he'll be performing a special Nrsingadev yagya, and he'll be distributing his book, and also other Nrsingadev Murtis and so on. So I believe he'll be here the beginning of March. So it's a nice festival to attend. So so Prahlāda Mahārāja was asked to go offer prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, and Lord Nrsingadev was asking Prahlāda, what do you want? I'll give you any benediction. So yes, you can imagine sometimes if they're before God, you can imagine what some people would ask for. Yeah, a planet. Oh, that was a pretty good one. Jeez. Yes. Not just a bigger house, but a whole planet. Okay. I was going to say something much smaller. So you could imagine the different type of material things people may ask for. But Prahlāda Mahārāja didn't ask for anything material. And but he asked for two things. Or maybe it can be considered three things. But one is that I am that I have a desire. Prahlāda Mahārāja was saying, I have a desire that I want to continue serving my spiritual teacher, my spiritual master. How can I ever give up his service, the service of Nārada Muni? So that was one, that he is allowed to continue serving his guru. So this is an important point, because it's not that like when one attains liberation, then they give up their guru, they reject their guru. One time, our teacher, Srila Prabhupada, he was walking off of a boat, and he was helped by one of his disciples. So, Srila Prabhupada was physically, you could say, elderly, so he was helped by one of his disciples. And then when he made it to the land, Srila Prabhupada pushed this disciple. And the disciple was wondering, why did my teacher push me? That's a little strange. Prabhupada wouldn't do things like that. But then Srila Prabhupada explained to him. He said, this is just like the impersonalist. He says that they get help from the guru, they get help from someone, the guru, but then when they fulfilled their particular purposes, they just push the guru away. He said, but this is not the Vaishnava principle. The Vaishnava principle is that you always want to serve your guru, even in liberation. So that was one thing he prayed for, which is being mentioned in today's verse. And another thing he prayed for, amazingly enough, is that he prayed that his father would be liberated. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, because his father was trying to kill him in so many different ways. But he prayed for his father. So by this, we could see the very forgiving heart of a pure devotee. They're so forgiving that they'll pray for someone even who wrongs them, like Prahlāda Mahārāja was doing. It's really amazing, actually, practically inconceivable. And he also prayed, what was it? That there'd be no material desires. Yeah, there's no material desires growing in my heart. May there be no material desires within my heart. So he prayed like that as well. So these are the different things he prayed for. And then Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he highlights that point, that a pure devotee, they don't pray for anything material, and specifically they pray to be engaged in the service of their own guru, their own spiritual teacher. They're not anxious to directly serve the Lord, but they act as a servant of the servant of the servant. So that's the particular position they take, servant of the servant of the servant. So, like last month, the theme of the month, we were talking about determination. So this particular month, the idea is to discuss different aspects of gratitude or appreciation in Krishna consciousness. So here we see Prahlāda Mahārāja. He's very grateful. He's grateful towards his guru, Nārada Muni. Nārada Muni instructed his mother. What's her name? Kayadu? Huh? Yes. So he instructed, Nārada Muni instructed Prahlāda Mahārāja's mother, And Prahlāda Mahārāja was in the womb at that time. So this is a mystic transfers of knowledge. Somehow or other, that all that knowledge that Nārada Muni was giving his mother was transferred to him. So he learned in the womb everything about Krishna consciousness. So then he appeared, and he was instructing his classmates and so on. And that's one of the reasons his father was very upset, because he was trying to spread God consciousness. But yes, we do see that in this prayer, he is praying to be engaged in the service of his Guru. So again, that's a lesson for us, that we should be very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for coming to America and establishing Krishna consciousness in America, and for the devotees, his disciples, direct disciples, and his grand disciples, and our own spiritual teachers for helping us advance in Krishna consciousness. We should be very grateful. We should express that gratitude daily, actually. Therefore, it says one should meditate at least 3 times a day on one's spiritual teacher, morning, noon, and evening, expressing one's gratitude. And what does the Guru give us? The Guru gives us, as Rupa Goswami, as Lord Chaitanya explains to Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Brahmatikon Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. So he says that the souls are wandering from species to species, that's reincarnation, planet to planet, just wandering all over, loitering in the material world. And then a fortunate soul, Bhagavan. Bhagavan means fortunate. A fortunate soul, by the mercy of Krishna, God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they come in contact with a guru, with a teacher. And by the mercy of Vaishnava teacher that teaches them Krishna consciousness, and by the mercy of that guru, that guru connects them to Krishna. And specifically it's mentioned this Bhakti Lata Bij. The bij, or the seed within the heart, is planted. And that seed, if it's watered properly, given proper sunlight and water, it's fenced off. Does anyone remember what you're supposed to fence off the Bhakti Lata Bij with? Well, you have the Bhakti Lata Bij, which is like a plant, but there's supposed to be a fence that's around that plant. What is it? Well, that's something, weeds, that's something that we take out. Weeds, it's interesting because a creeper, a plant, anyone who gardens, they know that sometimes the weeds, they look like the plant. So therefore, one has to be an expert gardener and remove the weeds, so the weeds do not choke the plant. So, for example, Srila Prabhupada gives examples in the Chaitanya Charitamrita of this. He says that sometimes devotees think that, yes, I'll make lots of money for Krishna, and then when I make lots of money, I'll spend it all for Krishna. So it looks like Krishna consciousness, but then sometimes what happens, it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes what happens is people, they make money, but then they don't give it to Krishna, and they just get absorbed in money. As one Christian preacher said one time, God is not black, God is not blue, God is green. And I was in the audience and I was thinking, like Ramchandra, because Ramchandra's like greenish, But he said God's green means like money. So it looks like Krishna consciousness in the beginning, but then it doesn't turn out to be Krishna conscious. So that's one example. There's many examples. So that's important to detect the weeds. Just like, anyways. But there's still a fence that needs to be created that protects the plant. And that is the fence of pure devotees. So, in other words, if we keep pure devotees around us, that will help our creeper grow. That will protect our Krishna consciousness. But then on the flip side, if one offends devotees, there's 6 ways to offend devotees. One is it's pretty clear, but one is to kill a devotee. Other is to speak ill of a devotee. Other is not to be happy to see a devotee. And so on. There's 6 of them. So if one offends devotees, then that's considered to be like the mad elephant offense. It's what does that mean in this analogy? It means that the elephant comes and just tramples the creeper, and rips it up, and then our Krishna consciousness is put on pause. Our advancement is put on pause for some time. So therefore, we serve the devotees, as this verse is saying, das, das, anu, das. We're serving the devotees nicely. We're not offending them. So that offending will do the opposite of helping us. It'll actually harm us. So that's being brought up here also. This is what the Guru gives us, the Bhakti Lata Bij. And therefore, we should understand that the Guru, the spiritual master, spiritual teacher, is very dear to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as a representative of him. And the idea is that by serving the Guru, serving the teacher, one pleases Krishna. So Prabhupada would give the example that just like if there's somebody walking down the street and they have their dog, so if you go up to the dog and say, "Oh, very nice dog," and you pet the dog and give the dog some treat or something, then the master thinks, "Oh, very nice person. He's respecting my dog very nicely." So Srila Prabhupada would give that example. He'd say that the spiritual masters similarly can be seen in it's a humble example, but he says it's like the dog of Krishna. So if you offer special respect or like that appreciation, then Krishna is pleased. So that's the idea. Prahlāda Mahārāja is expressing this gratitude towards his guru, his teacher, for giving him the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, for helping him in his spiritual life, and helping him come to the point where he's able to see the personality of God, Lord Nrsimhadev, face to face. So he's saying that you helped me with this. Therefore, I offer all respects to you, gratitude, and I want to serve you. Okay, so does anybody have any question or comment? Hare Krishna. Yes. Can you pass the mic to her? They want you to use the mic.
You were talking about offending the devotees. If we do offend them, what do we do to counteract the offense?
Okay, thank you for the question. So, if we offend the devotees of Krishna, what are we supposed to do? One devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, he said, "Oh, Prabhupada, he mentioned this point to him. He said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm offending devotees all the time." And then Srila Prabhupada said, well, that's why every morning the devotees, they get together and then they offer obeisances to each other and they chant this prayer, Vancha Kalpadrubhascha Kripa Sindhubheva. It's a special prayer they offer to devotees as a form of respect. The devotees are like desire trees. They can fulfill the desires of everyone. They're full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. They're oceans of mercy. So we offer respects like that to the devotees. And that idea of offering obeisances, bowing down to the devotees, it's a form of nullifying the offense. But then the devotee was telling Prabhupada, oh, Prabhupada, I'm offending devotees so much, I'll have to be doing that all day long, offering obeisances all day long. And then he said, well, it's okay, you just do it once in the morning. Now, if something's more severe, if there's some more complicated offenses going on, there might need to be some communication between those devotees. And if it's even more complicated, there needs to be a mediator, things like that. So yeah, that's one thing. Another thing is that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of our acharyas, one of our teachers, he says that if we offend devotees, we should go to them, offer our obeisances, offer service to them, try to nullify the offense in that way by bowing down to them, offering respects to them, offering service to them, and asking for forgiveness. And he says that sometimes a devotee may not forgive. So then what are you supposed to do then? He says we should take shelter of the holy name of Krishna, and that will nullify it. So yeah, those are some recommendations. Like service, for example, you may give devotees certain prasadam or food offered to Krishna that they like. So please forgive, here's some prasadam for you. So that could be an example. That may help with that. Any other question? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In the case of Dhruva Maharaj, if I understand correctly, he got offended for not getting into the lap of his father. That is the main reason for him to go to forest and do tapas. So it may be considered as a material desire to just get on to his father. But during that time, he met Nārada Mahārāja. And then when he did the tapas, that material desire transformed into a transcendental desire. When he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he forgot his original material desire and he asked for spiritual desire. So in the case of any devotee, I see sometimes we may start with material desires, and during the process of devotional service and bhakti marga, it may completely transformed to a spiritual desire.
Yes. Yeah, Dhruva Maharaj had a material desire. He wanted a greater kingdom than his father, his grandfather, his great-grandfather. A bigger kingdom than what? Lord Brahma, is it? Yeah, so he wanted a whole planet practically. Remember we were talking about that earlier? Whole planet. And he was offended by his stepmother, Suruchi, who was one of the co-wives, one of the wives of Uttanapad Maharaj. And specifically, she was the more physically attractive one, Suruchi, that's what that means, the name. And then Suniti, which means more virtuous, she was the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, last favorite of the king. And because Uttanapad was, it seems from this account, controlled by that other Suruchi, she told Dhruva Maharaj, because he was climbing up on his father's lap, a young boy wants the affection of his father, so he's climbing up on his lap. And then Suruchi stopped him. And she said, if you want to climb on the lap of your father, you'll have to die and then take birth in my womb. And then you could climb on the lap of your father. I mean, that's really intense, So Dhruva Maharaj, he had this Kshatriya blood, this warrior blood, within him. So he was deeply offended by this. And therefore, he wanted revenge, actually. Bigger kingdom and so on. So he went to his mother Suniti and asked, what do I do? I'm looking. She said, well, if you approach God, then he should satisfy your desire. And then Dhruva Maharaj said, well, where do I find God? And she said, well, the sages, they go out to the forest. So he went out to the forest and performed this austerity. But again, it was a material desire. But then still Nārada Muni came, his guru came. Nārada Muni is also the guru of Prahlāda Mahārāja. So we see that you don't have to be a pure devotee to have a guru. But once one accepts a guru and they engage in the process of Krishna consciousness, then those material desires are purified. And that was the case with Dhruva Maharaj, that eventually they were purified. And he had the darshan of Vishnu, and he was completely satisfied. There's the prayer. How's it go? Yes. Yes. I was searching for a greater kingdom than my father and grandfather and all that, but that is compared just to be like broken glass in comparison to your darshan, which is like a divya ratna, a divine jewel. So now I have your darshan and I'm completely satisfied. I don't want anything else. So yeah, we see that we could relate that to our life. We come to Krishna consciousness, we accept a guru. There may be material desires, but the idea is to come to that platform of pure devotion. So, yeah. Does anybody have any other? Yes, Govardhan.
Thank you, Balaram Prabhu. You were speaking of being grateful and service and serving the spiritual master. I saw this lady today. She had a shirt. It was interesting. It said, "No gods, no masters." So I wanted to see what you thought of it.
No gods, no masters. So in other words, hey, there's no gods, there's no masters. So does that mean she's the master, or I don't know. I mean, that's practically what it means. It means, okay, I don't accept anybody higher than me. I'm the pinnacle here. So, Srila Prabhupada was one time in Seattle, and he was giving a talk, and there was one young man, and the young man challenged him in the talk, and he said that you're talking about bowing down, but I don't want to bow down to anybody. And then Srila Prabhupada said, well, you're bowing down means you're serving all the time. You have a boss, you have so many people you're serving, right? The boss says, hey, we want it done by Friday. You have to have it done by Friday, You can't have it done by the following Friday. Friday means Friday, And, people may try to skate around the lines a little bit, but eventually if they don't perform well enough, they're kicked out and somebody else is hired. So you have to serve your boss. So Srila Prabhupada was saying, you have to serve. And then the man said, okay, but I don't want to bow down to anybody spiritually. So he accepted the first point to a degree. He's a challenging person, but he didn't really want to bow down to anybody. And then Srila Prabhupada said, you have diagnosed your own disease. That you don't want to bow down to anybody, but we're forced to bow down. You have to serve somebody. And you have to serve the laws of nature. What about old age? Who likes that one? Raise your hand. Anybody like that one? Nobody likes old age. Maybe some people who are younger, they might think, hey, it would be kind of cool to be older, maybe. But somebody who's experiencing that or in a certain age range, how much do they like that? It presents so many problems. What about disease? Old age, disease, all of these things. So in this way, he said, you're forced to bow down to the laws of nature. So it's not a question, do I bow down or do I not bow down? No, that's not the question. The question is, who is that person, or to whom do you bow down where you will be happy? Will you be satisfied? So if we try to serve illusion, then we won't be satisfied. But if we offer our obeisances, or we offer our respects, or if we become subservient to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the devotees, then we'll be happy. That's what Srila Prabhupada was saying. We'll be satisfied. So that's something in relation to that T-shirt. I don't know. So you could tell her that, okay? Yes. Can you pass the mic to her?
Hi, it's my first time here, and I noticed
Welcome.
something that, thank you, I noticed something that you said about like bowing down to like the laws of nature and like old age, but I just was curious, this is partially a question and partially an opinion, but I feel like it's such a blessing to grow old, even if it's painful to be old, because there's so many people I know who haven't had the chance to get out of their 20s in their lifetime, and I would be so grateful to serve to the laws of nature if it means that I get to experience, you know, like my life as a human, because we're all here to have a human experience. And yeah, I just kind of was curious, like, what are your thoughts on like growing old? Do you feel like, because I've read the book before, I've met you guys at Balboa Park, I've just never been here, and I'm like, what are your thoughts about growing old? Because in my heart, I feel like I'd be so grateful just to like feel the sun on my skin and like feel, you know, the ocean, even if I couldn't walk or run anymore. And to me, I wouldn't even feel like I was like serving or submitting. I feel like that'd be like more of like a blessing, rather than something I have to like bow down to. So I'm just curious, like,
Okay.
like what do you mean by that, or if you could elaborate on that, if that's okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's, of course, everybody likes to live. That's a fact. I mean, it's for the most part, you know, there's some cases where people don't like to live, but for the most part, people like to live, and they'll do anything to live. You know, sometimes even on their deathbed, or kind of, they may be asking the doctor, "Can I live more? Can I live more?" As if the doctor could perform some magic or something. So people have an innate desire to live. Now, our scripture says, what's the use of a long life if there's not an experience of spiritual consciousness, like real, you know, spiritual consciousness? And then it would say, do the trees not live long? Now, of course, people say, hey, what's up? Why are you criticizing the trees? You know, leave the trees alone. But our understanding from the Vedic point of view, the trees, there's a soul there. Wherever there's life, there's a life and growth, there's a soul. But that tree is in a very restricted state of existence. Cannot move, so on. There's many restrictions in that tree form of life. So our scripture would say says, what's the use of a long life like a tree? Better to live even a short life if we're able to have even a glimpse of higher consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So we're not against old age in the sense that everything, it could be considered to be a blessing, growing old in Krishna consciousness, or the body growing old in Krishna consciousness, you know. But still, within the body there is innate pain or built-in pain that is there. Does anybody have anything else to say about that? Drupa, you have something?
Hare Krishna. It's an interesting take. I haven't heard that one before. To be able to grow old as opposed to die young, I guess. But the thing is, in Krishna consciousness, like I'm an old guy now. You know, I've been doing this for over 50 years.
What's your age now?
My age is 77. And one of the things that I can honestly say, I'm not completely pure devotee yet, but I've been enlivened in Krishna consciousness all this time. That's why I'm still doing it. And is that, and I mentioned this in class. I give a class 3 nights a week. Is that a certain part of my consciousness hasn't really changed, in that the kirtan is still sweet. I'm still appreciating the holy name. the beautiful deities, the association of the devotees, the prasadam, the whole thing. And so, but I'm also, you know, I know people who are old but are not devotees, and it's generally it's a series of loss, you know. Yeah, I mean, just obviously you can't do what you used to do. I used to be able to do that. Now I can't enjoy that.
Surf. Surf.
Surfing. Well, I was never a surfer. But a lot of it is relationships. You know, people who, like family, you've lost, you know, and that's because that's where you get a lot of joy, is the relationship. But that's what's so great, is that about Krishna consciousness, the relationship is still there. Krishna is always there, and if you're following, you're chanting, the holy name is there, and he's there in his holy name. So in many ways, the source of your pleasure, which is the relationship, especially with the Supreme Lord, that's not being affected by old age, and you feel even closer to the time when, okay, I'll leave this body, and hopefully I'll be completely, you know, with Krishna eternally. So the general, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, and this is, you know, very important, in the 13th chapter, there's a whole list of elements of knowledge that are foundational for Krishna consciousness. And one of them, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Dosha Anudarshanam, means one should be aware and should see. Anudarshana means to keep in your mind the what can I say, the negative quality of birth, old age, disease, and death. We've been going around and around and around. It's a cycle of samsara for time immemorial. By Krishna's grace, we've forgotten all those other old ages and diseases and deaths, so we would have a huge case of PTSD if we would remember all those. But that's not our goal. You know, the Srila Prabhupada, one of the things I wanted to mention also about the relation with the Guru is this sense of gratitude for having come and give us this knowledge and give us the association to put us on the path. And we understand from Krishna consciousness that you may not succeed in going all the way back to Godhead in this life, but nothing is lost. If you make some progress, then you continue in the next life, and there may be just a few more lifetimes and you go back. So the spiritual master, those of us who are like in the ashram or living near the ashram, every morning we go to Mangalarti. It starts at 4:30. And we sing a song, the Guru Vashtaka. And the very first line of the first verse is really should evoke a lot of gratitude. And that's going to be the theme, right, of the next
Yes.
Samsara dava nadadida loka tranaya. Tranaya means to deliver. Samsara is birth, old age, disease, and death. Compared to a big forest fire, dava nadadida loka tranaya. He's coming like a big cloud of mercy, and he's pouring down the knowledge and Krishna consciousness to extinguish that forest fire for whoever's ready to take the gift. And so that sense of gratitude is there for giving us a way of hoping to end this cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. But it's interesting that in this day and age, just to achieve an old age is a kind of a victory, you know. And I would say that it's the best way of going and getting in old age is to be Krishna conscious. Because inside you don't feel old, you know, the same mantra, the same prasadam, the same deities, everything is still enlivening, and so it's a way of coping, you know, with the process of getting old.
Yeah, very nice. So by growing, yeah, very nice. So by growing by spending time in Krishna consciousness and the body growing old, as Dravida Prabhu was mentioning, one doesn't have to be depressed or bewildered by the general things that people tend to be bewildered in old age, like loss of family or depression due to not being able to do certain things. So he's explaining very nicely and from his experience that he's had a very positive experience. And then on the other hand also, as he was mentioned from the Bhagavad Gita, that there's the difficulties or the negative aspect of birth, old age, disease, and death repeatedly. So as he's mentioning, we could return to the spiritual world, and there's no old age, there's no disease, there's no death. So it's a wonderful thing. So yeah, thank you for that answer. Yes.
Mother Rajavadu, she lived in San Diego, and she almost made it to 100. She passed away at 99.
Yeah.
And she said, old age is no picnic on the beach.
Yeah. Picnic.
If I can add on to that, old age is a privilege denied to too many.
Old age is a privilege denied to too many.
George Burns, a famous actor, at 100, he said, to be 80 again.
That's funny.
I'm just curious too, what would your higher power prescribe for grief within your past life? I've thought about that while reading your book before, because since we're talking about old age and we're talking about all the things that you grieve throughout your life, especially, I feel like even reaching consciousness, you can't avoid grief, and just learning better tools to tackle grief and deal with grief. Like, I don't know too much about your higher power, though. I don't want to mispronounce his name and his name, but what would he recommend based off your scripture, or even your personal opinion? Because I imagine we come into this world, and if we have all of the feelings within our bodies of our past lives, wouldn't we be grieving people that we knew before, or places we knew before?
Well,
even if we were like a different form, if we were like a plant, wouldn't we miss
well, as Dravida Prabhu is mentioning, it is Krishna's mercy, or God's mercy, that we do not remember our past lives, because you can imagine how much grief and suffering PTSD we would be undergoing. So we don't remember those things. But this life, there's also plenty of grief that people go through, loss of loved ones and so on. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yavanam jaratata dehantara prapti didastatra anamuyate, that the soul is transmigrating from childhood, boyhood, youth, old age. The body's changing, but the soul's constant. And then when the body gets old, the soul goes to another body. It's a principle of reincarnation. So understanding that, if we experience the loss of loved ones, we should take shelter in the message of Bhagavad Gita and understand that they're eternal souls. They never die. Now, of course, Krishna explained the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and then on the battlefield, one of his sons were killed. And then he started lamenting. And then somebody asked about that. They asked, he just heard the whole Bhagavad Gita. Why is he lamenting? So Srila Prabhupada explained, our teacher explained, that it's natural. It's a natural human emotion to lament. But then we see shortly after that Arjuna, he continued his activities. He was steady in his mind and continued his activities. So that's a brief explanation. Venu, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, what is the spiritual meaning of bowing down versus material and bowing down to?
Yeah.
It's a great answer for that.
Okay.
If you allow me, I'm sorry, I didn't want to. The word namaha. There's a book called Krishna Leela Stava, which was written by Sanatana Goswami. And it's a wonderful book. It's translated by my old friend Gopi Puranadana Prabhu, who's a real scholar in Sanskrit. And he goes through Krishna's Vrindavan Leela, a nice description in Sanskrit poetry. And interspersed, he bows down. There's namaha, namaha, namaha. So at the beginning of the book, as an introduction, he explains how, I forget what Purana is, to describe what namaha means in the most deepest sense. You get on Indian Airlines, namaste, the stewardess to say, right? So that's a kind of bowing down, but it's more or less hello, right? So, but when you see the devotees, they're bowing down full with their arms out and their full face. It's like it's dandavats, like a rod. And that full bow is namaha, meaning whoever you're bowing down to, say Srila Prabhupada or the deities. Nama literally means not mine. This body is not mine, it's yours. Krishna is known as Rishikesha, the Lord of the senses and Lord of our senses. His senses are everywhere. That means our senses are everywhere, wherever we are. So that's the ultimate meaning of full obeisances, is that I surrender everything, mind, body, and words unto you. It's not mine, it's yours, and I'll do it. That's the idea.
Okay. All right. I think we have some announcements. All right, Krishna.